my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Friday challenge video where I ask you to look through your long boxes, find some comics related to the theme. And this week's theme is going to be Halloween or horror. Basically, it's a horror special, because it is Halloween. Today's Halloween. It's like the coolest time of year. I actually like Halloween as one of the holidays, probably the most. Because it's like a whole month of like horror movies and stuff like that. I'm not really into gore in terms of horror movies. I like more psychological horror personally, but I do appreciate gore as well in horror comics. That makes sense. So there are, some gore comics that I think are kind of cool, like the Black Cat Mystery. That's my grail, one that I'd love to have. But I'm going to show you some classic horror. This is all pre-code horror stuff. When you do this challenge, you don't have to show pre-code horror. It doesn't have to be a pre-code horror theme or anything like that. It just has to be horror stuff or things that you associate with Halloween. So this is a Halloween special. Hope you guys enjoy it. It should be fun. Let's get right into it with the very first book. And one of the things that as a kid, I don't know, like I'm not sure if other people had this experience that, if you go to the old barber shops and, they're always like sharpening the blade, right? It's like the thing that they do. And you always like, think, hey, they're like going to be shaving along your neck or, they can just slice your neck. And it's like, the rate at which you die from somebody cutting your neck, and it's one of the most humane ways of killing somebody, actually, believe it or not, is 3 seconds. That's how quickly the blood will flow out of your body. So it's like slash and then you're done. And because of that, when you're seeing them sharpening that blade, you really have to trust that this barber is not going to accidentally slip and slice your throat. So whenever I see those kind of covers with barber shop kind of things, those horror covers with barbershops, I think of that. I think of that very situation. And this one is a little bit of that, but not quite. This is like the barber, but he doesn't have to worry about slicing any throat or anything like that. He just has to make sure that this girl, what's left of her, looks as pretty as possible. So this is the wig maker, and it's just a classic barber pre-code horror cover. So this is Witch's Tales 23, and it's like the girl, she's trying to make herself, she's looking in the mirror, she's trying to be pretty. she's a bit thin, but she's trying her best to make herself look good, and the mad barber is working his best to make her look good. So so that's number 10 on the list. A bit of the mad barber. Okay. Another thing that we kind of associate with horror is, I just showed a skull, but, just that skull in general, the skull and crossbones, that homage, or not that homage, but that image really gets, that, fear of danger. That, that's why when you see like poison, it's marked with skull and crossbones because it means death. So covers that have that in the golden age are often more desired and are, ones that make us think of death. And death is a scary thing and for many people. So this is my ultimate skull cover. This is Witchcraft number 2, and it's just a classic skull cover. You got the way that this one works is really, really brilliant. It's like this yellow cover, and the skull itself is fairly dark, but because of the yellow, it kind of pops. It's just a classic skull cover. This is sort of the poor man's version of Punch 12, which is the other classic skull cover where there's all those people falling out of it. This has similar kind of motif, where it's like the people inside the skull eye sockets. But just a classic skull cover. So it's poor man's Punch 12. So this is Witchcraft number 2 from 1952. Okay. Um, Now this is a book that I have to have some good girl, even though it's Halloween, even though it's like a Halloween theme and horror theme. I always feel like good girl elements should be in there. I always think of the situation in horror movies, and this is really, really common. You see the girl, and she's running away from the bad guy, and she's wearing heels. She's wearing a dress. I'm not sure why, but and she's running, but the bad guy's always like sort of walking really, really slowly, but somehow manages to always catch up to her. Or there's a point where she's running, and I'll get into that in a second. But I'll show this first one. And this first one is Witchcraft number 5. And it's another, this series was a really good series for pre-code horror. But you got the girl, she's running. I think she's already ditched the shoes. I'm not sure. It looks like she's barefoot. And it's just a classic Kelly Freeze cover. And yeah, just a classic cover. Just, you know, got the girl in the red dress. In the Golden Age, don't wear red dresses. It's just like in Star Trek, don't wear the red. The red suit guys are pretty much done. Same in the Golden Age with red dresses. You just you know something bad is going to happen to you. So yeah, so this is from 1952. It's a classic painted cover. So yeah, it's a cool one. She's running through the graveyard, which which is bad on itself. Like, what were you thinking? Now, I was sort of getting into the idea that when the woman runs away, one of the things that always seems to happen is they're always wearing high heels. It's just why are they running with high heels on? But that's what they do. But there's always a situation where the heel breaks, and when the heel breaks, they fall down, and then the serial killer catches up to them. Well, that's what this one is. This is Tomb of Terror, and it's Tomb of Terror number 7 from Harvey, 1953. And who, I think it's Lee Elias. Yeah, Lee Elias cover. Lee Elias is really well known for his Good Girl and his pre-code horror covers. So he gets a little bit of both in this one. And you see the girl has fallen. She's wearing the high heels. She's wearing kind of the red dress. And now the guy, the creepy hands, he's caught up to her, and she's like, ah, bad things are about to happen. So yeah. And what does it say? The shadow of death. People only whisper about, or even the morbid shun, the loathsome meaning, shun its loathsome meaning. But now you're trapped completely mercilessly by the shadow of death. So yeah, so just a classic situation. Like, this is so often used in horror movies, where the girl falls down, the killer catches up to her, and there's nothing she can do. So that's what this cover captures. So yeah, so Tomb of Terror number 7 from 1953, another Lee Elias cover. Okay, another thing that often you'll see that really scares people, and actually as a kid, this really, really scared me. Actually, I had a really a waking nightmare once when I was a kid, and it's probably one of the more scary stories of when I was a kid. This was when I was like, I must have been like 5 years old, 6 years old, and I still remember it very vividly because it was such a dramatic thing. My bedroom was at the very end of the hall from my parents' room. It was just the other end of the house. And, I was always scared. I'd always get, oh, Dad, can you check under the bed? Can you check the closet? The typical things kids do. And I was just really scared. I don't know why I was, scared as a kid, but, 5 years old, you're going to be a little bit scared anyways. But, so my dad, he turned off the light, he closed the door, he left. And I was like sort of in my bed, and I was pulled the blankets up over my head kind of thing. And, you're, that scared kind of child thing. And, I kind of pulled the blankets down just for a second. And I'm not sure if I was like in between sleep and awake or what the situation was, but in the corner of my room, I could swear, like this is like I can see, like I can visualize it now, how like this was like such a traumatic thing. I could see a devil, just his head in the corner of my room, in just in the like in the corner, like I was like looking up, and I could see this devil head in my room, and so I got really scared, pulled the blankets up, and then I got really really scared, and then ran out of my room. I just ran out of my room, and ran to my parents' room, and like they walked me back to my room at the end of it, but I was really scared. So that devil thing, I think what it was, and the reason this happened is, as a child, you have a very active imagination. And one of our babysitters, this is a bit of a long story, a bit of a lemon tree, sorry, but one of our babysitters, we like to torture our babysitters. I don't know. It was like a thing kids did. We'd be a little extra naughty when the babysitters were around. We'd run around or do things, nothing too extreme, but we'd run around and be a little silly. Well, we had this girl that was a babysitter, and we ran around. We drove her a little bit crazy, just a little bit crazy. She was trying to catch us and make sure that we were just calm for a little bit, but we were just like rambunctious. And she was really stressed by it. I can tell that she was really stressed. We felt bad a little bit afterwards, more so later on. And so what happened was she didn't want to work for us anymore. she was done. She was tired of like these poorly behaved kids. And so the next week, when my parents still needed a babysitter, they got her older brother to come. Okay? And her older brother wanted to get a little bit of revenge. Okay? So he was like a little bit like upset with us. And so he decided to tell us a scary story. And the scary story was of this path. There was a trail in behind of this little community that we were in, and at the very top of this trail, it was like sort of a little hill that you had to climb up, was a giant rock. Okay, and he basically said that one day he was going up this trail, and he was joking with his friend that, he doesn't believe in the devil, blah, 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 right? And it was sort of like light, just around twilight, when they were going up this trail. And he said that when he got up to the top, him and his friend were just like stunned, because there was this guy, just this very strange looking man, dark face and like trench coat kind of thing. It's just leaning against this giant rock that's at the top of this path. And it sort of was, something was wrong about it. And they sort of stared at this guy, and he's just, something was very off about him. But then they noticed that when they looked at his feet, he didn't have feet, he had hooves. And that freaked them out, and they ran, obviously. So the idea was that, this was a scary story he told. Obviously, probably didn't happen, but but it was one that he told about basically meeting the devil, and how, if you sort of say, I don't believe in something, then you'll probably meet that something that you don't believe in. And that was a scary story. Active imagination as a kid, well, that impacted me. So, so then I started seeing, like little, and I was scared. So, especially at night, how it is. So when I think of that situation, that, and so the brother did get his revenge, because he scared us all out. He told it really well. He's a really good storyteller. So probably that's why I had that waking nightmare. And when I saw this cover, it kind of reminded me of the devil that was in the corner of my room. So this is Witch's Tales, number 19. So that was a very long way of building up to this cover that I'm about to show. So definitely a cool cover, the devil just the floating head, the fire. I think this is another Lee Elias cover, actually. Lee Elias, and it's Harvey Publications, 1953, and it includes a 1953 calendar, a bonus calendar. Okay, so yeah, just this is kind of what the devil looked like when I saw it in my corner of my room. So yeah, so hopefully that was an interesting story. So okay, so we're now at the halfway point. Number 5 is another form of horror, and this is body horror. A lot of the time, I think one of the things that I don't like, especially about gore, is body mutilation, or things where we, you know, I feel like the situation where the serial killer or whatever that person is does something where basically even if you survive it, you're never going to be the same afterwards because you're mutilated. That's something that always sits very hard with me. Like, I just do not like that situation. Well, this cover kind of has that to a certain extent, because it's if this happens to you, well, you'll see what I mean. This is Worlds of Fear, and it's basically the eyeball cover. His eyes have been removed from his head. It's just a really creepy cover. And you see all the floating eyeballs. And what does it say? Stories of Weird Adventure. This is from Fawcett, 1953, and it's Norman Saunders cover. And this one's another classic cover. It's interesting that this was actually produced by Fawcett. When we think of Fawcett, we usually think of Captain Marvel and the Marvel family. It's like pretty tame stuff, pretty happy-go-lucky stuff. It's just like Harvey. Harvey's producing all those books, and yet they produce Casper the Ghost and all these other kind of more child-friendly. It just shows you how broad their audience was. But this is just a great classic cover, and this is kind of that body horror. So, yeah. Okay. Now I talked a little bit about death, and how. One sec here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is 7. Well, death is one of those things that really does creep people out. And this is kind of one of those ones where you'll see it a lot in horror covers, even in horror movies, where a living person is thrown into a grave, dropped into a grave, or buried alive. Well, this is kind of that situation where she's being dropped into the grave. The cool thing about this book, and just as like an extra little cool feature of this book, is the gravestone itself. If you read the gravestone, those who have defiled the skeleton, and then it's actually the names of the people that were involved with creating the book. It's like they put the names of the creators there. It's just kind of fun little inside joke in a way. This is Punch Comics, number 13. It's just another classic cover. So yeah. I think this one's a little bit faded, but I think that would have been a red dress, by the way. Okay, so I'm not sure who did the cover. A lot of these ones, they didn't say who the artist was, so it's a little hard to figure out. Okay, we got 2 more to, yeah. One second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so 7. Yeah, I just want to make sure. I kind of mentioned girls in red dresses, and this is like a little different. This is more on the psychological horror element, but this is just a classic book. This is Red Seal Comics, number 14, and this is actually the first time the Black Dwarf appears in this title, and he's sort of an ongoing character in this title. But again, you got the girl in the red dress. That's one of his, helpers. He has a whole bunch of these criminals that help him out with fighting crime. ex-criminals helping out with fighting crime. But this is a classic cover, and it's actually been homaged even in the Golden Age. Just a classic cover. You got the skulls in the corner. You got the mad scientist guy with the hypodermic needle. It just has all those horror elements to it where, you know, something is bad is about to happen to this girl. You know, he's probably going to put some drugs in her, make her fall asleep, and then do some weird medical experiment on her. I think of a lot of horror movies that have those elements where, you know, there's torture, there's that horror of being captured by an insane person. So this is kind of has all those things. Not actually a horror title. It's not like the rest were all pre-code horror books. This is more of a crime book, but at the same time, it has all the horror elements to it. So this is Red Seal 14. It is a Pete Gusto cover, and just another classic cover. So, okay, got two more to go. This is one of my favorite covers. I showed you the one with the girl running through the skeleton field of skeletons and, you know, dead bodies. Well, this is kind of similar to that. You got this girl, and she's just sort of, it looks like she's running, and she's running from this voodoo or phantom witch doctor kind of guy. And the cool thing about him is he's kind of ghost-like. He's, you know, seen in gray tone, but his like eyes have skulls in them, and it's just like this eerie moon in the background, and it's just, and it's, you know, he's reaching out to get her, and she's just sort of, you know, either walking or running, you know, with her lingerie that's semi see-through, so a bit of good girl elements to it. Just a classic cover, just a really cool one. And when people, I think of Halloween, I always think of like going out at night, you know, trick-or-treating, and you know, that sort of, you know, situation where it's nighttime and there's all the different, you know, the tradition of Halloween is that it's Hallows Eve, where all the ghosts and goblins come out, you know, and the idea of wearing the costumes that we do is to scare those ghosts and goblins from coming back, you know. And so when I think of Halloween, I always think of that those evil presences coming out and getting us. And this is kind of has that little bit of feel to it where this girl's like she's wandering away from some of those evil things that are chasing her. So I like this cover too. It's a really cool cover. So this is Edward Raymond Kinsler cover. Very classic artist, by the way. It's only issue, but it's from Avon 1952. Just a great book. Okay, last one. I mentioned trick-or-treating, and to me, this is the trick-or-treating comic cover of the Golden Age. It just looks like it reminds me of trick-or-treating. I don't know why. Every time I see it, I think, oh, trick-or-treating. But it's not trick-or-treating, but I'll get into that. Okay, so this is Diary of Horror. And it looks like when I was a kid, I had like a little jack-o'-lantern with a handle on it. And it would, you know, it was for like getting candies. It was like a little plastic jack-o'-lantern that you could, you know, use as a treat bag or treat thing. So I would, I used to use that when going trick-or-treating when I was really young. When I got older, I was more ambitious, and I would need a garbage bag or something bigger to get all the candies that I'd go out. And I would go to as many homes as possible. But when I was really, really young, you know, small jack-o'-lantern, kind of similar to the sizes of these, would be sufficient. But this, when I see this, it just reminds me of that, where, you know, you have that little little loot bag or whatever it is, or but these are, in this case, they're not actually, you for collecting candies or anything like that. These are lanterns, and you can see the little light inside them, the candles inside them, and they're using these to guide their way. And they're going back to the underworld where they've picked a few victims. They have the two girls in red dresses, of course, and they're going to bring them back to the underworld. So yeah, just another classic horror book. This is another one-shot. This is Diary of Horror #1 from Avon. It's another Everett Raymond Kinsler cover. So, as I said, he's a classic artist. Just a really cool book. So those are mine. Those are my, and I told a bit of Halloween stories. I hope you enjoyed those. So yeah, so basically do the same. Find horror or Halloween related comic covers in your collection and just do a quick video. Use the hashtag Friday Comic Challenge, and you can also CC me on it by just going at Comic Collector Geek, and I'll check out your video. I hope you guys can tell some pretty scary stories too, and thanks again for watching. Bye for now.